Arsenal finally have some good news, and God knows we have been waiting for this exact moment. We've been so unlucky in this certain department, but now it would seem Arsenal are coming into some luck. Look, we haven't allowed it to derail us. Jurrien Timber, there's news that he will be back for the PSG game. Now, there has to be a slight caveat when you're mentioning Arsenal injuries, because as you guys know, it's always difficult to get information out of Arsenal when it comes to injury. Everybody likes to stay tight-lipped, but the rumours, the news, the suggestions around the Arsenal camp are they're expecting Jurrien Timber to be fit. Now, there's actually some conversations around a couple of players that I think impact us now in the immediate term, but having Jurrien Timber back for the final will be brilliant because we obviously know Ben White started to play well and then he's out. There is still some discussion going on about who people think will play right back. We've had that decision. For me, it's Christian Mosquera, but also Mikel Merino. There's more hope and optimism around the possibility of Mikel Merino returning before the end of the season, and he's actually a player that's gone so far under the radar when I'm hearing everyone talk about Arsenal's injury problems. If we would have had Mikel Merino for the majority of the back end of this season, Arsenal's goals would have been far more prevalent, in my opinion, because he is the type of player that pops up with goals. So having these guys back, even if it is only for a couple of games, of course it helps Arsenal. And now, does Mikel Merino start in this Arsenal team? Maybe not, but having him as an option helps Arsenal, because the more good players you can have coming on to change a game, and Mikel Merino, no matter his flaws or his abilities, can certainly change a game on his head with his goal-scoring ability. We've seen it in Europe before, certainly last season, a massive goal against Real Madrid, so we know this is a guy that can score goals. The bigger question, I feel, it's such a big discussion in the Arsenal fan base right now. Everyone's having this conversation about who plays against Burnley. Will it be Eze or will it be Martin Odegaard? For me, the answer is very simple, but should it be Odegaard? Should Odegaard start? That's the main thing I'm hearing, and to me, the answer is absolutely yes. Because look, in terms of numbers, Eze has been far better than Martin Odegaard this season. You just have to look at the numbers on paper. I think Eze scored 10 goals, 6 assists. Martin Odegaard, I think he's only scored 1 Premier League goal this season, 7 or 8 assists. So Odegaard's numbers aren't perfect, but recent form in the past couple of days, no one can pretend that Odegaard's been rubbish. Again, they might have had conversations around him earlier in the season, but Martin Odegaard right now, you have to focus on current form. When there's only 2-3 crucial games left of a season, yes, you can take past form into account, but it's very important to just look how a player is playing in this moment. And right now, Odegaard, especially the way he transformed that game against West Ham, slowing the ball down. There seemed to be a level of panic surging through that Arsenal team, especially in the forward areas. But Odegaard, that 1-2 he played with Declan Rice and then just slowing the movement down, scanning, downloading the data, playing the ball to Leandro Trossard and Leandro Trossard scoring. So if people want me to answer, who do I play, Eze or Odegaard? To me, the answer is actually both of them. And you might be saying, well, you can't leave Trossard out of left wing. And I'm saying, no, listen, I play both of these guys in the middle. How many times have we had a conversation this season about being more creative, being more fluid, allowing the creative players to flourish on the football pitch? All you need to play against Burnley, in my opinion, is Declan Rice in the number 6 position, Eze and Odegaard, and that still allows you to play Trossard on the left. I want you to let me know, do you play Eze or Odegaard, or both of them? And I will be interested to see the response, because I'm not hearing many people say just play them both together. And to me, that's the simple answer. Home against Burnley, you would imagine we're going to have the lion's share of possession. I think that's a fair statement to make. So why not give ourselves the best opportunity in creating chances? There's a bit of a not panic, but people are definitely starting to question the form of Man City. Some people are blown away by them, but it's interesting to see the response from some other people who are saying, they're not that great, they've been getting away with it. But regardless of that, they've been scoring a lot of goals, Man City. Arsenal probably do need to get more goals in this team, because goal difference is very close. There is still a possibility of it coming down to goal difference, although I believe that chance to be quite short. There is still a weird and wacky world in where that can happen. So allow yourself to score most goals. And this game against Burnley, is perfect. And like I said, we've been wanting to see Odegaard and Eze together. Is that harsh on Miles Lewis-Skelly, who's come into midfield recently, and he kind of has transformed the middle of the park in terms of his ability to drive with the ball? Lewis-Skelly's been brilliant. He's almost kind of reinvented that central midfield position and gave us a different dynamic at a point where Zubimendi was struggling. Now I think he's looked better more recently, Zubimendi, but Miles Lewis-Skelly keeping you out of the team just shows you how good Miles Lewis-Skelly has been. Miles Lewis-Skelly, people are saying, is slightly more attacking than Zubimendi, and I don't know if that's true. Now, I see what you mean because the way he drives forward and gets forward and carries the ball, but don't forget how many important goals and assists Martin Zubimendi has popped up with this season. I think he's been slightly disrespected of late because his form has slightly decreased. I would agree with that, but Zubimendi still can pop up with a moment. But Eze and Odegaard is more attacking than Miles Lewis-Skelly. Both of those players flourish more further up the pitch. So for me, it is Eze, Odegaard and Declan Rice. Trossard on the left. I don't think you can drop Leandro Trossard because I'm hearing people say, well, play Odegaard in the middle and play Eze out on the left because we know he can play there. And he can. And if this conversation was 3-4 weeks ago, I would say that as well because Martinelli and Trossard at that point, you know, most of us can say they were struggling, but Trossard recently has been brilliant. He came up with a moment against West Ham. Yes, it was great link-up play between Declan Rice and then a moment of magic from Martin Odegaard, but the finish came from Leandro Trossard. He got an assist against Fulham as well. And again, if you've got players that are playing well now, it's very important to harness that and keep those players playing because we do only have 2 games in the Premier League left. Let me know your midfield three against Burnley. And now there's, I don't know, people are kind of getting annoyed and frustrated about some of the comments coming out from some of these Man City players. And all I would say is it's expected. We've had Pep Guardiola coming out recently. We all saw the come on you Irons. I don't know, there's just messages out there. Rodri's coming out and saying, listen, don't worry, Arsenal can still lose. Look, these guys will try and put pressure on us. They know how difficult it is to win the first title. All these Man City players have experienced it at some point. Fighting for that first title is never going to be easy. If you asked people 6 months ago, people were still convinced Man City by this point would have overtook Arsenal and Arsenal would have crumbled. It's not happening. People are still holding that hope. Comments like Rodri and Pep Guardiola, to me, is expected. All we have to do is focus on ourselves and go and do what all of us know we can do, and that is shut these people up. Because yes, they are loud, but we can allow our football to talk even louder. Now, there is some interesting comments. In terms of the Man City fans, I have to sit them down for a moment because you hear them and you see them online. And I'm having conversations with people and they're like, you lot are a joke this season. The amount of VAR, dodgy VAR decisions, you lot are cheating, you're getting Arsenal and, the referee's on your side again, ole. And I'm like, coming from Man City, that statement is mental because there's 115 reasons why you shouldn't be talking to me like this. And then you look at some of the decisions you guys have had. Look, I think you beat Chelsea well in that cup final, but there are fans out there who are saying Chelsea should have had a penalty, and you can't pretend you guys don't get the rub of the green sometimes. Bernardo Silva should have been sent off a couple of times recently. That guy, everyone almost gets lost with Bernardo Silva because they're so starstruck and, I don't know, just appreciative of the technicality and the quality of this player that you can look at it. If it wasn't Bernardo Silva, you'd say he's a really nasty player like Caicedo. He's really nasty. He should have had a red card by now, Bernardo Silva. So I just think it's a massive contradiction. The City fans who are coming out and claiming Arsenal are having the rub of the green or the luck. And I'm just like, with your charges, that is absolutely mental. But let's get into some of the thoughts and opinions of you guys. If you want to be featured in tomorrow's video, make sure you get your comments in the comment section. We're going to start with MJB. If anything, this result should increase our players' determination to win the league. Stopping City from getting a treble is all on them, and anyone not a City fan who would want to see City win a treble rather than Arsenal win a league surely needs to get their brain examined. That's what I'm thinking, because if I was an outsider, I know people don't want Arsenal to win the league, but at the same time, surely they should from a competitive standpoint, because you don't want the Premier League to become a Bundesliga or a League One who you can look back through the last 10 years and they've probably won it 8 or 9 times out of the past 10 years. The Premier League is getting to that point where it's like, right, City, City, City. Oh, you'll sprinkle in a Liverpool in a City. Like, it is becoming very dominated by Man City. So surely most rival fans should want Arsenal to win the league. So the claim that most of us make, the Premier League is the strongest league in the world, right? Other leagues can now look at our league and say, well, different to us. You've got one team who's dominating the entire league. But there's nuances. The league is so strong that the bottom team can beat the top team. So I am with you. I don't really understand it either. Our talk. The beauty is that Bournemouth have something quite big to play for. Europe for them would be a huge achievement. If people think that City will roll them over, then think again. Another thing is that Bournemouth would have a good rest, whereas City have 3 days. A draw would be great, and it quite possibly could happen. This is absolutely true. There is a massive chance of Bournemouth playing Champions League football next season. This isn't a dud game where it's like, right, we don't really have anything to play for. Bournemouth at any time of the season is a very difficult game. A Bournemouth knowing there is a real possibility of playing Champions League football, that is a dangerous team. Away from home. Someone said it the other day, unbeaten in 16, 18 games. It is a very difficult game for Man City. And I have to take away my Arsenal bias and look at this and say, can I truly see a world where Bournemouth take points off Man City? Yes, is still the answer. Even if I strip away all my biases, all my hopes, all my optimism. Because the truth is, look, if Arsenal win their 2 games anyway, it doesn't matter. And both of our games are more than winnable. But you look at Bournemouth away for Man City, factored in with the fact that, like you correctly stated, they've got 3 days rest. Yes, there is every possibility that Arsenal could win the title on Tuesday night if we do the business against Bournemouth. And I just don't want the conversation to be, oh, look, Bournemouth have won the title for Arsenal. Because I can already see that's the conversation people would put forward. Oh, you only won it because Man City slipped up. And it's like, what are you talking about? We've been the best team over the 38-game period. That's why we will win the Premier League. Absolute madness. Nice comment, though. Mr. Francis, we played loads of games, guys. Come on now. Remember when it was Newcastle, Spurs, Chelsea, Everton, Villa, West Ham, etc. People doubt us, but we beat them all. Who is Burnley and Palace? No respect, but put some respect on Arsenal, man. And I hear what you're saying. Look, we can't get carried away and claim the title is already won. But also, we can't pretend that we're not in a brilliant position. And someone said, oh, well, this league should have been wrapped up ages ago when you had a chance to go 11 points or 12 or 15 points clear. And I'm like, I hear you, but seasons aren't always perfect. You don't just win it straight out of the gate. There's ups and downs. We've always expected from the start of the season. We've had conversations about, even if we're the best team in the season, don't expect us to just run away with it. Now, is that a possibility? Yes, because we are so good. But it's going to be difficult. There will be ups, there will be downs, there will be difficult periods, easy periods where you do get carried away. But the truth is, we have been the best team in the league. And on paper, and football's never played on paper, you look at Burnley, you look at Crystal Palace, you probably couldn't pick 2 better teams to play for the final game of the season. Absolutely. TJG, City was horrible. What are people on? And this is a bit of perspective because people were saying, like I made a video yesterday, people are starting to worry about how Man City are clicking into gear and playing so well. But there was quite a few comments on people saying, let's press the brakes a little bit because although City have been grinding out the results and winning 3-0 in their past 2 Premier League games, they haven't been perfect. And I agree with you. There has been vulnerabilities that we spoke about yesterday. Bournemouth have every possibility to exploit those vulnerabilities. So I'm looking forward to that Bournemouth game. Look, we've got Sunday today. There's a few games on today, a few decent games. Tomorrow, we've got Arsenal. The next day, we've got City. And I'm just excited to see what happens. Last one, Hakan Odinson. I wanted to finish on this one. I'm not panicking. I have faith in Mikel and the team. 1 game at a time, 3 games to glory. We can do it. This is my mentality, Hakan. I am the same as you. 3 more games. Let's just stay switched on for 3 more games and we have an unbelievable chance at rewriting Arsenal history. That is how significant this 3-game period is. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's what makes it special. Of course, I've got a thought in my head that Arsenal could very easily beat Burnley 5-0. My full match breakdown will be coming tomorrow. But yeah, there's every possibility Arsenal win their next 3 games and we're in dreamland. But we have to be careful because there's also a possibility where maybe Arsenal start to falter. And I will never predict that. But that's why football's so great, because you can never predict what's going to happen. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Thank you so much to everybody else for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could do me a quick favour, just hit like and subscribe. And I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.